All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Films and Fermentation. You are here in time for the season 2 premiere. That's
Woohoo!
right. It is our sophomore season. Hopefully, we have a good year and not a sophomore slump.
And we've got video.
We got video now. We are trying out some new format here. We're going to videotape the podcast. We have a new YouTube channel that I will be putting in the show notes for anybody watching this. You can check out our YouTube channel and see our pretty faces live and in person.
And my pretty posters.
Not exactly live, yeah, but I told Mike earlier I look like I'm broadcasting from heaven. I got like a globe behind me.
No, it's Iowa.
No,
it's New Jersey.
No, it's New Jersey. It's my wife's
which is
office.
the farthest away from heaven.
It's actually hey, Kevin's a Jersey man now.
That's right.
He lives in that pishy posh area of Cherry Hill. But yeah, I am broadcasting from my wife's office.
So I'm in our but family room. So
I always come from the office.
Yeah. Kevin's house is a really, really nice house.
Thank you.
It's a very, very,
I'll
very
have to have
fine
yours,
house.
and Mike. Well, there is a damn cat in the yard. It's not mine, and I don't want it to be there. Just
Life
the one.
used to be so hard. Now everything is easy. So we're gonna have a musical season. Gonna just break out in a random song. So for those of you joining us, this is, as I said, is our season 2 premiere. So it is the first episode of the second season. Technically, it is episode 34. And for tonight, this was Kevin's idea. I thought it'd be a good idea to run with, which is since it's our second season, let's talk about sequels. But we're gonna have some fun with it tonight because we're gonna talk about sequels that ruined the franchises.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
So like I said, it's our new format, a little bit of a live recording going here. We got Kevin playing with his backgrounds, his virtual background. I had a TV screen up on mine earlier. I was like, what's something I can do to be kind of fun? So I did what the hell is it now? Here it is, the TV screen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's Films and Fermentation, so I'll get myself on TV.
I know. Not everybody can have Iron Man and Wolverine and X-Men in the background like myself.
If I want something fun in the background, like I don't even need the filter. I have virtual backgrounds I can use, so I could take myself out of heaven and have myself racing with Mario. Yeah. So,
Wrong podcast.
It's Mario. So we're recording live. If you keep seeing me looking over to the sides because my notes are over here, I haven't figured out my desk format yet. So I'm I have 2 computers right now. I got one I'm recording with, one that I'm working off of, and my phone and everything. So
you need that second screen thing.
Yeah, I need an adapted screen here. So let's do things as we usually do. We're changing the format up a little bit, but we're not changing the the way we do our show. We're still going to start off with a little bit of this day in film history with our man Michael.
This day in film history in 1987, Star Trek: The Next Generation, starring Patrick Stewart, debuted on syndicated TV.
I still watch Next Generation regularly.
Once a year. I watch the whole thing.
I don't do that. I will randomly put on an episode, or I'll watch one I haven't seen this one in a while. Let me watch that one. There's there's a certain set group of episodes that I watch pretty regularly though.
I start from the beginning and go all the way through DS9.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time with the first season because I don't like pre-Beard Riker.
You can just get through it.
Yeah,
and I have a hard time with the second season because I don't like
Dr. Pulaski. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Although one of my favorite episodes is in season 2, and that's the Measure of a Man.
Where they great episode.
Data on trial to see if he's a sentient being or not.
Oh yeah, I like episode. That one. And wasn't that also the season that they introduced the Moriarty hologram?
Yes.
Yeah.
Situation. Yeah.
I think that's the Casino Royale episode, or the Hotel Royale, or whatever the hell it's called. That's that season as well, and it's a really stupid premise, but I love that episode. I just like seeing Data and Worf in a casino trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Yeah, I think my favorite episode is Measure of a Man. But I love the 2-part Borg episode that introduces you to the Borg and Locutus of Bolg, and the Four Lights episode.
There are four lights. I like the one where
I missed out on
is thinks he's on another planet with the flute.
It's
He's that by satellite or something.
Yeah, and he lives like an entire life that's not his own.
Yeah, that's a good episode.
I can't think of the name of it, but that's a great episode. I missed out on an opportunity when we recorded the other night, Mike, because I was in the living room and I had a light behind me that had the 4 lamps on top of it.
You did.
And I missed out on the opportunity to do my 4 lights imitation. Yeah, 4 lights. I love Next Gen. That's a great fact right there. What's your fun drink fact for tonight?
My fun drink fact is 20% of all wine consumed in the world is sake.
And here's the first thing I thought of when I read that. Sake is wine?
It's a rice wine.
It's a rice wine.
It's a rice wine.
It's a rice wine. I didn't really. Yeah, it's very popular when you go to the hibachi restaurants.
Hibachi, yeah.
They cook with the sake there.
Don't they have it in the little guy and they pull down his pants and it pees out?
In your mouth, yeah. I never say yes to that because I'm just not a big fan of sake in general. My sister, we'll go to hibachi and she'll just get the sake in a cup and drink it, like, glass of sake. I'm like, I'm not a big, no, it's just not me. But it didn't rice wine. Like, it didn't dawn on me that it was a type of wine. 20% of all wine. The other 80% is consumed by my wife.
I would say 70%. The other 10 is in France and Italy.
Yeah. 70% is on my bar out in the kitchen. Has anybody seen any movies or TV shows lately that you'd like to recommend for the audience?
Nothing new. I'm starting to binge Doctor Who. I finished the first season of
well, it's his only
the
season.
Ninth Doctor. Yeah,
it's his only season. David Tennant takes over in the next season.
I like the first
Ninth
Doctor. I liked him.
I did. I really liked the first season. I thought Eccleston was really good. If it wasn't for him having some trouble with the writers and agreement with the creative staff and all that, he would have stayed for a second season. But they decided to just write him off. But you'll really enjoy the David Tennant seasons.
Yeah,
David Tennant is probably the best out of all of them.
What are they on now, Mike? Who's showing them? Who's showing Doctor Who?
It's all on HBO Max.
Oh, okay, good. Because
I think it's got it's at 12 seasons, so I don't know. The 13th is what's on now, right, Lee?
Yeah, 13th season that was the last season. Was the 13th season, the last season was the 12th season, which was the first season for the 13th Doctor, which is Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
And then she's got her newest seasons coming. This is actually her last season. She's leaving after this season. I'm actually I'm sorry to see her go because I think she's really good, but I'm excited for the new season after that because the original writer who did the season with Chris Eccleston and the first couple seasons with David Tennant is coming back to do the show again.
Okay.
And a lot of the really good episodes were his episodes. Yeah, so she's doing one more season.
Nice. I'm gonna have to see if I can catch that. Megan and I have been watching a show on Netflix called Sex Education, and it's about a school in England, and this kid who's new to the school is having trouble making friends but getting to know people.
So the newlywed needs sex education, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But it stars Asa Butterfield.
Yeah.
From Ender's Game.
Right. And Gillian
Anderson.
Gillian Anderson from X-Files as his mom. It's funny. It's an enjoyable show. It's a good show. And before that, we were watching Atypical.
Okay. And that's a show about an autistic kid, right?
Yeah, it's a show about a kid who's like really trying to, gain his independence as much as he can, and him and his family.
Hey, Kev, take it from me and Lee. You got married. You don't need sex education anymore. It's done.
Thanks, Mike.
The cake was the cure. I always think about like I'm recording this and like I'm sure like some kids that I taught in the past probably watch this or listen to it once in a while. Learn a whole new side of me. I came up with this idea for this segment because I'm binging two things right now. One is a new show on Hulu called Only Murders in the Building. It stars Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. Because when I think comedy trio, I think Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez.
That's because Chevy Chase back
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And they were like, who can we get to replace Chevy Chase? Selena Gomez.
Selena Gomez.
The three of them actually are really good together. They have a good chemistry. All three of them produced the show. Steve Martin's a writer on the show as well. And it's really funny. It's a dark comedy. Three people who are really into murder podcasts become friends because of the murder podcast, and then a murder happens in their apartment building, and they decide to investigate it and produce their own podcast about the investigation. But then every episode has like a little twist at the end that changes the story on you, at the last second. But I'm also binge watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm not typically an Andy Samberg fan, but I heard some good things about the show, and I was looking for a show that was like an easy watch, that was quick and easy, and all the episodes are only like 25 minutes because they're network sitcoms, but they're on Hulu, so it's commercial free right now, and it's really, really quick watch, but it's a funny show, a lot funnier than I expected it to be. Okay. My favorite part of the show is the captain of the precinct, who's played by Andre Brower, who up until this show has done nothing but dramas in his career. And now he's the captain, and he's absolutely, completely deadpan, like never shows emotion whatsoever, which makes the things that he says even more funny. Because they'll be like, are you okay, Captain? And he'll be like, I'm ecstatic. They're like, we never can tell. Terry Crews is in the show. He's always funny. Yeah. And a bunch of other like kind of faces that you've probably seen before, because they're mostly like stand-up comedians and stuff. So I've been binging that when I need something like quick, easy, and fun to watch. So if you haven't checked it out, you should check out our mini pod that we did recently. Mike and I teamed up for a little mini pod review of Marvel's What If. Speaking of things that we're binging, the three of us have been more or less caught up on all the episodes of What If. Our mini pod only reviewed up until episode 7, which was Party Thor. Episode 8 just premiered this week, and Mike and I have both watched it. Episode 8 is What If Ultron Won? And without giving any spoilers away for Kevin, who hasn't seen the episode yet, the only thing I can say about it is it's a really good episode, and this is the kind of Ultron we should have had in Age of Ultron. This makes the Age of Ultron look like, just a regular run-of-the-mill villain. So it's been a really, really good show so far. Yeah. Mike threw that in there, the little Ultron thing. Finally, what was the joke you made about it? It was like,
on our mini pod, we talked about we didn't say what the surprise ending in 7 was, but it was Ultron showing up for Thor's part, showing up at the end of the Thor episode. And I go, he's just showing up late for the party.
Yeah,
he was there.
It's not really a big spoiler now, but it's like he shows up at the very end of the Thor episode, and it was such a disjointed ending because it had nothing to do with what the Thor episode was about. Like the Thor episode was just basically just straight comedy the whole way through. And
until you watch this episode, now you understand.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden Ultron shows up at the end, and you're like, what the fuck?
He showed up late for the party.
But man, he takes it over afterwards.
Yeah, he does.
So check out our mini pod. It's also on our YouTube channel. We were using it as a way to test out our new format here. So let's talk about the most important thing that we talk about in every show. What are we drinking? So, Mike, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm drinking a Lindenkugel's Oktoberfest.
Well, it is closing in on October as of the recording of this episode.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And it'll be October 4th when the episode premieres. So, yes, Oktoberfest.
The Oktoberfest.
I like their Oktoberfest.
That's pretty good.
I like Oktoberfests in general. Being a Sam Adams Oktoberfest guy.
Yeah.
But the Leinenkugel was not bad. Kev, what do you got going on?
So my sister-in-law came over the night we moved in over the weekend, and her boyfriend was kind enough. He brought us some gifts, some housewarming stuff. One of them was Cape May tan limes. So it is, going
tan limes.
It's an end of the season kind of thing. It's a Mexican style lager. It is, what did I see? 4.5% alcohol by volume. And it's got like a margarita-y taste. I've had one already and going to have another one. So
I'm liking this. So I'm thinking about this for the format here. We could show what we're drinking on the camera.
Yeah.
Be nice if we ever get a sponsor to somewhere down the line. We be like giving all this free advertisement right now. I decided I wanted to try something different.
Quaker Rage.
Quaker Rage. I decided I wanted to try something different tonight since it's the season 2 premiere. So I found this website. It's called cocktailbuilder.com. And you go on the site and you put in things that you have, in your possession right now in your bar, in your fridge, whatever. So you throw in your main liquor, a second liquor if you want, a mixer, juices that you might have, sodas, whatever it might be, and you put it in, and it gives you a list of cocktails that you can make with the things that you have in front of you.
Cool.
And I was like, well, that's pretty neat. So I said, I'm going to try something, that I've never had before, but it's at least easy to make and that I have everything for it. So I'm drinking a drink from cocktailbuilder.com called the Canadian Cowboy. It is bourbon, apple juice, ginger ale, and a couple dashes of Angostura bitters.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and those are 4 things that I didn't think, like at least apple juice and bourbon, I wasn't sure about.
No.
But
Just a Canadian cowboy.
So yeah, I'm a Canadian cowboy tonight. So I threw them all together in a highball glass with ice, and it's really good. It's a real I tasted it as like a relaxing drink. Like I can see myself just sitting outside drinking this, just hanging out and chilling. As long as I have everything in my house that I need for it. Otherwise, I'm just putting bourbon on ice and sitting outside.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that either. I do that all the time. It's one of my favorite things. Bourbon. So tonight's
bourbon. Keep that bourbon rolling.
rolling in my belly. Highball. So tonight's main segment, our main topic this evening, is sequels that ruined their franchises.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. So what we went with tonight was, instead of doing like some giant ass list that takes forever to get through, or doing a bracket, which I don't want to run the bracket into the ground, we went with something very simple. We each picked 4 movies that started out really well and then kind of went downhill from first film to whatever the current sequel number is in that franchise. So we're each going to talk about 4 movie choices that we made, and then we have a list of franchises that have endured despite some shitty sequels, but are kind of like on the cusp of being ruined at this point. So I'll throw out one, and Mike will do one, and Kev, and we'll just kind of go around the clock here.
All right.
So my first series that I chose is Rambo.
So are you saying 2 or 3 killed the franchise?
I'm saying 2 and 3, not necessarily that 2 killed the franchise, because 2 is a pretty good movie, but from 2 on has nothing to do with the original film.
No.
So the first movie in this, so we should clarify that the first movie in the series was not called Rambo. The first movie is called First Blood.
Yes.
And First Blood was a drama. It was not an action movie. I mean, it had its action moments in it. It had some scenes with him like fighting these sheriffs that were after him. Yeah. So he's a Vietnam War vet who's suffering from PTSD, who is on the run from the law. He doesn't want to, fight. He doesn't want to, it's totally opposite the character that he becomes in the later films. And in fact, in the novel that Rambo is based on, Rambo kills himself at the end before he gets caught by the police. And they actually had filmed that as an ending, but test audiences didn't like it. Of course,
they drew first blood.
They drew first blood. So they refilmed it with him, being arrested at the end. And then the second movie came out, and all of a sudden he's more than willing to go back to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And basically single-handedly destroy the country in a way that the entire American army couldn't. It's a ridiculous action film. It's totally an 80s action film.
Oh, most definitely.
Very much like
the Expendables.
It's very much what the Expendables, kind of lampoons, and it's funny because it's him doing both.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes totally over the top action. He's got the arrow that has like napalm in it. It's there's a scene where the guy's like shooting at him and he's like 5 feet away from him and the guy can't hit him. They spoof it in Hot Shots with Charlie Sheen. Where the guy's firing a machine gun at him and they're standing like this close to each other. And then you get Rambo 3. He's in Afghanistan, helping the Afghan army fight the Russians. And I'm like, boy, that movie has not held up over the years.
No.
And my favorite scene in that movie, and I can't, I'll never forget it because my dad talks about it every time he watches the movie. He gets stabbed or something, like a piece of wood or something gets like stuck in his side. And he pushes it all the way through out his back to get it out. So now he has like a hole going through, and he fills up the hole with gunpowder on both ends and lights it on fire to seal the wound. And he's like, he's screaming bloody murder because it hurts so bad to have to like fire the wound shut like that. And then in the next scene, fucker's climbing a mountain. Like freehand climbing a mountain. Like I stubbed my toe and I'm out of commission for 3 hours. And then
I sleep wrong in bed and I can't do anything the next day.
That's all of us, I think. And then the series disappeared after that. Like Rambo 3 was the last one. That was in the late 80s. And then they came back. And it's funny because the Rocky and Rambo franchises both kind of did the same thing. So he came back later with Rambo, just Rambo. Because it was Rambo, it was First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, and then just Rambo. And in this one, he basically destroys the entire Vietnam army again with a 50 millimeter cannon. And one scene, he rips the guy's throat out with his hands. And it's like ultra super violent.
Mm-hmm.
And this was after the Expendable films. And then recently, I haven't seen this one yet, but just based on the name, I know I don't want to. He filmed a finale to the series called Last Blood.
He's like a farmer or something now.
Yeah, it takes place in America, and he's like, he's like a retired farmer or some shit, and he's gonna help his niece who's being like tracked down by a biker gang or something. I don't know what the fuck it is about. I don't care. It is a franchise that was ruined by its sequels. It definitely was.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you got first on your list?
I got The Matrix.
Which is apropos since there's a fourth one coming out. I think in November or December.
It may, if depends upon how the fourth one looks like, it may go down to the ones that survived the sequels. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, with the third movie, it killed it.
Yeah.
The second movie was okay, but the third movie.
Second movie was okay. It started getting like it took the whole like existential thing too seriously, I thought.
It did.
And then, I understand he's a Messiah character, but he didn't have to like literally like walk on water. I do like his Superman act where he's flying. You know what I don't like in the second movie? It was good when I first saw it because it was kind of cool.
Jada Pinkett Smith? Jada
Pinkett
Smith.
No.
That's what you don't like about the second movie.
Boy, this ship's got a big ass. No, it's the scene where he fights like the 250 Smiths.
Oh
yeah.
And it's like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. And then you watch it now, and it's like, God, they look like fucking claymation.
Yeah.
It's like
they look bendy.
Terrible CGI for a couple of directors who were really into their CGI.
Yeah.
The third movie was weird.
Yeah, it's just
third movie was weird, and it was just way too much stuff in Zion.
Yeah,
I understand it's important to the story, but you want to see more of like the actual Matrix stuff.
Yeah.
Now the fourth one has a chance to maybe redeem it a little bit, or fix it, or do whatever. I saw the preview for
or totally destroy it,
or just suck. Yeah, I mean, I saw the preview for it, and it's interesting because it makes it seem like Neo and Trinity don't remember ever being in the Matrix.
I wonder how they explain how they didn't die.
I know, especially her. I mean, you don't necessarily see him die; you just see the machines take his body away. But her, like she
was impelled.
They're plane crashes, and she's got like 18 pieces of metal sticking out of her chest.
Just a flesh wound.
Just a flesh wound. I should have taken the red pill. Kev, what do you got first on your list?
First on my list is the Batman franchise, the Tim Burton one that they launched in '89.
Yes. We got to clarify that we are not talking about the Chris Nolan franchise.
No. Actually, those were progressively better, maybe. I mean,
I would say
Batman Begins was really solid. Then The Dark Knight blew my mind. And then the Dark Knight Rises was probably my least favorite of the three, but was still not bad at all.
Yeah, I probably would have ranked it the same way. I would have ranked it like Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and then Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
right.
But like the Nolan franchise redeemed Batman,
and
then the Justice League Zack Snyder stuff killed it again
with Batman.
and then and now we got this new one coming out with Robert Pattinson as Batman that looks really good. So I'm hoping
it looks promising.
Yeah, it looks promising. So I hope it doesn't like ruin itself. Like it has potential.
So
but you're talking about the Tim Burton 1989 Batman.
Yes, and this was dark and broody, which is not what people were used to with Batman. They were. I'm talking about the people who watched the TV show, right? The
Adam West
version. They weren't used to dark and broody, even though the comics depicted him that way. I think Batman Year One might have been partial inspiration for the Tim Burton one. So it did really well. Jack Nicholson cast as the Joker. I even liked Billy D. Williams and setting him up for Harvey Dent. That was exciting. I was looking forward to that. The Batmobile. Do you remember how excited you got in 1989 when you saw the Batmobile?
Man. Yeah,
that was my God, cool.
That and the Batwing. I was like,
I remember I saw the first Batman with my dad at the movie theater, and he was an Adam West. He watched the Adam West shows growing up and loved that Batmobile from the Adam West show. And who didn't? And then when he rolls out with that Batmobile and puts the shields up, and the shields just like completely encased. My dad sitting next to me in the theater. He's like, "Holy shit!" he loved it.
So that movie.
Go ahead. You're talking about it, so you go ahead.
I was just going to say, so that movie did really well, and they're like, "Great, make the sequel." And Tim Burton went for the sequel, which I thought also did a decent job. Was really good. I liked Danny DeVito as a Penguin. I loved Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh my God,
Catwoman!
Oh, how could you not?
Oh yeah,
right.
How could you not?
And yeah, there was some camp, a little bit, and a little,
it was good, but I think it started the downfall with too many villains in one movie.
Okay. So you had
you had three.
You had three. You're right. You had Shrek. Shrek, Max Shrek. You had Penguin. You had Catwoman.
Yeah.
And And even then, Catwoman was kind of the anti-hero, because
Right.
she still felt that. But it really took. I mean, what killed me was that it wasn't that the movie was bad. The movie was good and successful, but they couldn't merchandise it. McDonald's could not give it away in its Happy Meals, and
I think it was like
Kenner couldn't.
The second movie was more Tim Burton than the first movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though Tim Burton directed the first movie, it still had a little bit more like studio feel to it.
Yeah.
Whereas the second movie, I'm like, wow, this is like watching Edward Scissorhands in the Batsuit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get that.
It was darker,
But
I thought.
it was Joel Schumacher who really turned that into like a disaster for me when he went with Batman Forever and recast Billy D. Williams with Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey.
And we went with bright Jim colors everywhere.
Yeah, it became Neon Batman.
Yeah, Neon Batman.
So here's another thing that shows you a major difference between the two. There's a really good joke in the Batman what was the second one? Batman
Returns.
Batman Returns. Where the Penguins it's Danny DeVito and Chris Walken, and they're setting him up to run for the mayor or whatever. And he sees this like woman in the crowd that he's like attracted to or whatever, and he turns to Chris Walken and he goes, "You see her? I like to show her my French flipper trick." And I laughed. I was like, "That's a great line. That's so funny." And it sounds like something DeVito probably like made up himself. And then you go to the Joel Schumacher Batman Forever, and one of the big jokes in that one is Batman pulls out a credit card, says. It's a little blue card, has the bat symbol on it, and where the name is, it says Batman. Like, how the hell you get that approved? Batman had a line of credit, I guess.
Because product placement throughout those movies was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was all about who can we sell this crap to?
Yeah.
And then add a movie somewhere in there. It was just this. And then when it got to Batman and Robin, it was just a joke. It was horrible.
Well, that's because they put nipples on the suits.
I didn't mind Val Kilmer as Batman. I actually thought he was okay.
Yeah,
he did well with what he did well with what he was given. Let's put it that way. Jim Carrey, I thought was a little over the top as the Riddler.
A little
over the top.
I think Jim Carrey's over the top all the time.
I mean, he's over the top most of the time, but it's in that role. It was like he was still in Ace Ventura mode.
Yes,
and hadn't learned how to be like a dramatic actor yet.
Yeah, which is why I'm looking forward to The Batman, this new one coming out, because it looks like Riddler is twisted. Like really.
I mean, the actor who's playing him plays a lot of like weird characters anyway. Paul Dano. Yeah. So and then you get to that last one with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
Ice is nice.
Yeah, like as many ice puns as you can come up with in that film.
I'm Mr. Snow Miser. I'm Mr.
Then you had that ridiculous cartoonish version of Bane. I don't know what the hell they were doing with that.
But you had Uma Thurman.
I did. It's the only thing I think I did kind of enjoy was Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy a little bit.
Yeah. All the acting was over the top. All of it was. It was like.
To this day, George Clooney still apologizes for killing the Batman franchise for 20 years.
I should have. It wasn't his fault. It was Schumacher's fault.
He took it thinking that it would be like a major career move for him, and it almost.
And I can understand that. And it could have been good for him if it was a better director.
I think Clooney has the look for Bruce.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he has the chin for Batman.
Yeah.
It's all about the chin.
It's all about the chin.
Yeah.
So the second one on my list is Rocky. I went with a little bit of a theme with my first two films. Sylvester Stallone just not knowing when enough is enough.
So you mean if you can change, and I can change,
we could change. Like Rocky was single-handedly the reason that the Iron Curtain fell.
Yeah.
So like the first movie, 1975, Oscar winner for Best Picture, won Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. Sylvester Stallone was nominated for Best Actor. It was a major movie, and it was actually a surprise win in 75 for Best Picture. But it's a great movie. And I mean, like not many people remember in the original film he loses at the end.
Yes.
Like there really wasn't supposed to be a sequel. He was this, low-level boxer who was given a chance by the champ, and stood up to him and all that, but he loses in the end. Then they made the second film. It's one of the first like big sequels, I think, that did really well at the box office, and it was a hit. And it's not a bad movie.
Wasn't terrible, no.
It's not terrible. He wins a championship at the end. There's a lot of like back and forth with him and Apollo Creed because Creed didn't want to fight him again. But the public was like, telling him that he was like the coward for not wanting to fight him and all that. So, I mean, it followed a logical storyline. And then you got Rocky 3, where all of a sudden he's wrestling Hulk Hogan.
And Mr. T.
And then fighting Mr. T at the end. Mr. T beats him. And then he beats him, he wins the title back at the end and all that. The most notable thing that happens in Rocky 3 is that Mickey dies in Rocky 3. And then you got Rocky 4.
I must break you.
Where you have, you got that supremely 80s montage sequence where Dolph Lundgren is taking steroids and running on these machines that are measuring his heart rate and his, speed and all these like computers that are hooked up to him and diodes and everything. And then Rocky's like, running through the snows of Siberia, carrying logs on his back and doing sit-ups on tree branches and shit. And it's like, totally 80s montage.
He ran into Rambo, who's like, what are you doing here?
I'm training for a fight.
I'm training for a fight. What are you doing here?
And then you get Rocky 5.
Revenge.
Rocky 5.
I don't even think I saw Rocky 5.
Oh my God, Rocky 5 is so bad. So Rocky 5 is he loses all his money. There's some thing about power of attorney or something like that. And he loses all of his money. He ends up moving back to his neighborhood in South Philly. There's a lot of turmoil with his son, who was so used to being a rich kid, doesn't know how to handle being a poor kid now. He's training a boxer named Tommy Gunn. So he basically becomes a trainer in this film. And then Tommy Gunn decides to leave Rocky and go off with this guy who's a not so subtle ripoff of Don King, who takes Tommy Gunn away from Rocky, and they end up fighting each other in the street at the end of the movie. They have a street fight.
Not even sanctioned.
It's really bad. And then it's another franchise that revived itself a little bit. He came back around the same time that he released that Rambo film. He released Rocky Balboa, which was actually not a bad movie. It had some good scenes. Like Adrian has passed away at this point, and he can't handle it. So there's like some good scenes with him, like trying to deal with the fact that his wife is no longer there. He fights an exhibition fight against this like real popular boxer, and they kind of like trick you into like feeling that feeling you get when you watch the Rocky boxing matches. And then there was Creed. And Creed was a really, really good movie. Stallone was nominated for supporting actor for it, and rightly so. And then there was Creed 2. And I think they're currently filming a Creed 3. So like Creed is becoming the new Rocky franchise.
Poor Michael B. Jordan.
Poor Michael B. Jordan. Yeah. I feel real bad for him. Making millions of dollars. He was in the MCU and Mike, what do you got on your list second?
The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. The first one was good.
The first one was really good. I enjoyed the first one.
The second one wasn't terrible. I didn't hate it.
No, it was all right.
The third one, when they changed the characters and they went to China. Let's not get started on the whole Scorpion King segue that way either. So,
wasn't the Scorpion King the end of part 2?
It was the end of the sequel. It was the end of The Mummy Returns, and then he had his own movie. That
he had a spinoff. Yeah,
he had a couple movies. I think there were a couple Scorpion King movies.
Yeah, but only one with The Rock, I think. All the others were.
Yeah, the second one was
third, fourth, and fifth. They're all
Second one was one of the guys that was in the Expendables. He was like a UFC fighter.
We're all direct to DVD.
I never saw the third one. The third one's where they're in like China.
Yeah.
They switched out Rachel Wise with
she didn't want to
Bello. She didn't want to do it because they also aged the kid like 20 years or 15 years in the span of 5 years, I think, between movies.
Yeah.
And Rachel Weisz was like, I cannot play the mother of mature, this older of an individual. So they went with, Maria Bello.
Well, she was fine, but she just wasn't Evie.
Yeah, but she's
she wasn't Edie.
She's also not that much older. She's about the same age as Rachel Weisz. So it's like she's still going like an actress about the same age. She could play that part. She could play that part now. She did it in Black Widow.
Yeah. That third movie really killed that franchise. I think it just stopped with 2.
It did.
And then they tried to revive it with Tom Cruise, and that got ruined too.
Well, that was them. I mean, was there any tie-in to the original series, or was that a complete reboot?
From what I understand, Tom Cruise has so much control over his scripts that he came in and read the script and had it rewritten to have more action scenes
for him
and more scenes involving him. So like the Mummy actually got minimized in the film.
Oh,
it was supposed to be more about her. And I don't know if it was going to tie in or not to the Brendan Fraser ones, because it was supposed to be the introduction of
the Dark Universe.
Yeah, the Universal Dark Universe, where they would have like the Frankenstein and Dracula and all the other creatures. Yeah, which would have been cool if Tom Cruise didn't decide that he had to make it all about him,
because he's a movie star.
He had to make it all about him.
But honestly, I mean, now. I know we're getting off track here, but indulge me. Bram Stoker's Dracula, was that supposed to be part of the Dark Universe, or was that just a standalone? No, okay. And then the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Robert De Niro was also not part of the universe.
They were all made in the 90s too, I think.
Yeah,
90s, early 2000s.
Okay,
yeah.
And the Wolfman with Benicio del Toro, like those are good remakes of the horror movies. Yeah.
Like I like as even though Bram Stoker's Dracula has some pretty poor performances in it.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's still an entertaining film. It's entertaining. It's worth it just to see Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Dracula.
And Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, he's really enjoying himself as Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
The Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, was directed by Kenneth Branagh. And it's a different turn for Helena Bonham Carter because she's not playing one of Tim Burton's muses. And De Niro as the monster, I actually thought was pretty good.
Yeah,
he brought some emotion to the role.
Yeah.
What was the other one you mentioned? I saw it one time and I was kind of bored by it.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit because I know the Lon Chaney one from the the 50s, and that's a really good one. But no, the Mummy that Cruise was in was supposed to be the first film in the Universal Monster universe. Yeah, so they were going to bring back all the Universal monsters and they were going to have their own standalone films.
Okay.
Which would have led to a group film together that would have been the reboot of the Monster Squad.
Wolfman's got nards.
Wolfman's got nards.
It wouldn't be like Abbott and Costello met the monsters or something.
No, it would have been like Monster Squad with the scary German guy. Next on Kevin's list, what do you got?
Next on my list, I think, is Jaws. Let me
Jaws.
Yes, Jaws.
Jaws never survived past the first movie, I think.
It did not. No, even though they got Roy Schneider back for the sequel. And I can't remember who played his wife. It did not do as well as... It was not as good as the first. And the third and fourth, oh my God.
What is wrong with Jaws 3D?
Yeah,
Jaws 3D.
That was
SeaWorld. How did SeaWorld tag their name on that?
That was the big draw, I think, of Jaws 3, was that it was supposed to be a 3D film.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it did. I know it was like the old blue and red cardboard glasses,
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure, I wasn't around then. But so it was Lorraine Gary played his wife, and she was in the first two movies.
And the fourth.
And the fourth movie. And the fourth movie is the really weird one because that's Jaws: The Revenge, where the shark comes back to get vengeance on Brody's family.
Gets on a plane and follows him down to Florida.
What's the shark doing on a motherfucking plane?
I can't stand all these.
I got sharks on a plane.
I think I know what screenplay I'm going to write next. We're going to do sharks on a boat. Got all these motherfucking sharks on this motherfucking boat. You do snakes on a plane, sharks on a boat, ants in your pants,
kangaroos on a train.
Brought to you by Quaker Age.
Oh my God. Jaws went off the rails the minute the animatronic Jaws broke.
I don't think I saw past
anything to do with did Spielberg have anything to do with the second, third, or fourth executive producer at all, or no?
I don't think so. I know we kind of talked about this a little bit last week with or the last episode we did, because we did the Spielberg episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Let's see. So he directed the first one, produced the first one. Second one was not produced by him. So I'm assuming if he didn't produce the second movie, he had nothing to do with third or fourth as well.
Right.
That was just cash grabs from the studio. So next on my list is Alien.
Yeah, pretty much after the second one. Aliens.
Yeah. It's just it just, and they keep coming, like Ridley Scott keeps coming back with things like Prometheus.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the first Alien was pretty groundbreaking. It was one of the first, totally space driven horror films.
That's Sigourney Weaver. Is a sexy woman.
We have one of the first major films to have a strong female lead.
Mm-hmm.
That whole scene with the chest burster with John Hurt it's a classic scene and was almost completely ad-libbed, and that the actors, only John Hurt and the director, were kind of aware of what was going to happen in that scene. So a lot of the reactions you see are real. And then you have Alien, the second one, Aliens, which is really good sequel because James Cameron took over the helm for that one. So it has like a feel of like his films, but it was like, it didn't veer too far away from what the first film was about.
No, and I think it amped up the horror factor because it's not just this one thing that's stalking everybody. It's a whole planet full of them.
And I was going to say, I agree. I was going to say, like, it found a way to increase the tension without destroying the story.
Right.
And then you have the introduction of the Queen at the end, which is a really cool visual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Her fighting the Queen while she's wearing the giant robot suit thing.
Back away from her, you bitch.
You have Lance Hendrickson as Bishop, the android. I thought he was great in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bill Paxton in probably one of his most iconic roles. Game over, man. Game over.
Game over.
The actor who played Reese in Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Plays Hicks in this one. I can't think of the actor's name, but he plays Hicks. Sigourney Weaver comes back. Sigourney Weaver was nominated for Best Actress for this film, not for the original.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of the first times somebody's ever been nominated for their same character in a sequel.
Oh wow.
Great film. And they get Alien 3, which was a total fuck job.
Right.
It was one of those films where there was a lot of studio interference.
Yes.
And a lot of
production issues.
I think the original director quit. They brought somebody else in, and then they cut the budget on it. And because they cut the budget on it, they ended up killing off Newt and Hicks and whoever else was like in the cryostasis with her.
Mm-hmm.
They stick it on this prison planet, which is really weird. And then I think it was Sigourney Weaver's idea to have Ripley die at the end of the film because she was just kind of tired of it all at that point.
She was done.
But then they managed to bring her back for Alien Resurrection as a clone.
Oh, vey.
Which was the fourth movie. I had never seen the fourth movie. All I know is she's in it and Winona Ryder's in it, and they're both like clones or something.
And who is Hellboy?
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman was in it. Yeah,
he's in it. Yeah, but that's all I know about it. I've never actually seen the film.
It was not the worst. I mean, no, okay. It was not Alien or Aliens. I would say it might have been a little more exciting than Alien 3.
Okay,
but it's definitely did not help the franchise.
Then Prometheus came along.
Yeah.
And I remember, Kevin, you and I saw that together, right?
Yeah, we did.
Kevin and I saw that in the theater together, and we were really excited about it at first. We were like, oh my God, this is definitely going to be like a prequel to Alien. Even though Ridley Scott would not say that it was a prequel to Alien,
right.
You knew it was a prequel,
to Alien.
Yeah.
And it sucked. So bad. It was very slow, very plotting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things happened that were very predictable, and the CinemaSins guys who do the Everything Wrong With videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite running jokes they have comes from Prometheus, and it's the scene where Charlize Theron's running away from the ship that's like rolling towards her, and instead of like zigzagging or trying to dodge out of the way, she's running straight, and the ship just like falls right on top of her. So they got a running joke where every time somebody's running away from something and they're just running straight line, they go, this person learned that in the Prometheus School of Running Away from Things. That's about the best I could say from that. I didn't see the other one either, the Prometheus.
Alien Covenant?
Alien Covenant, yeah.
Yeah.
At that point, he's decided to admit that it was an alien film.
Yeah. Yeah.
The best part I thought about Prometheus was what's his name? Fassbender as the android.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty good. You need a break, Mike?
I need another beer.
So do I. I need another drink.
So do I. I need another beer.
Break.
We are back. We took a little break there because we all needed some refills. I am continuing to pretend that I am a Canadian cowboy.
I'm still doing Oktoberfest.
I have switched up, gentlemen. My sister brought me a housewarming gift from her trip to Moe's Tavern, a pop-up Moe's Tavern.
So was it Springfield?
From Springfield, yes. Actually, close to Springfield. What mall was this in again, Lee? We had gone there once before for not Morristown.
In Jersey?
No, not in Jersey. In Pennsylvania, in Chester County.
The one we went to for the book reading thing. It was oh shit! Why can't I think of the name of it now? I used to go there every day on my way home from work.
Yeah, that one.
I can't think of the name of it now. It's in media.
Springfield Mall.
It's not the Springfield Mall. It's
but there's a Springfield close.
Granite Run.
Granite Run.
Okay. Granite Run Mall. Yeah.
So anyway, they went there. They had a pop-up Moe's, and it was all decked out like Moe's Tavern in The Simpsons. My sister got me a 4-pack of Moe's beer, which is from Evil Genius. So it's an IPA, in case you were wondering, because so many people wonder what kind of beers does Evil Genius have? Well, they have IPAs.
Yeah.
You know.
Glass full of lies.
Glass full of lies.
So we left off with the Alien franchise, which brings us to Mike's number 3 on his list.
Jurassic Park.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
First movie was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Second movie I could left alone. Third movie, why even bother? Then they resurrected it, which was good.
It's a movie.
And then they flopped the second one. The resurrection.
It's a movie franchise of good firsts.
Yes,
exactly. Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. They're all the ones. The only ones you got to see.
That's it.
Yeah, the Lost World. I mean, even the sequel book was horrible.
Well, because they had to do that whole like kind of revamping of the story of Malcolm because he's supposed to die in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so they had to find a way to bring him back. It's Yeah. I did.
So much potential.
Jurassic World is like The Force Awakens, and that it has a lot of the same elements of the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Lost. What was it? Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom.
Yes, Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, it was kind of a
new
mess.
one coming out called Dominion.
Yeah, so you had the Fallen Kingdom was like the little girl's a clone, and then you got the new hybrid dinosaur thing that they created. That's like a raptor hybrid, mixed with like a dog and a cat and a
Epidemius Rex.
Yeah, and then the only thing I liked in that second film in Fallen Kingdom was when they're sailing away from the island, and the island's like being destroyed by the volcano.
And you see the silhouette of the Brachiosaurus.
Yeah, the lone Brachiosaurus hearing it crying in the distance, and I'm like, wow, it like broke my heart.
Yeah,
because I think of the original film, and that's like the first big dinosaur scene you see is the Brachiosaurus jumping up on its hind legs to rip the tree down, and how giddy I was the first time I saw that. Although Part 3, Jurassic Park 3, had that great scene with Sam Neill falling asleep and dreaming about the raptor talking to him. Alan. Which takes us to Kevin's third. Why don't you tell us about your third choice, Kevin?
Oh, it's a wonderful choice, my friends. I am referring to Leprechaun, 1993, the breakout role of Jennifer Aniston.
The first movie.
Yeah, the creme de la creme.
Was the first one actually a good one?
Warwick Davis.
I actually liked it. Was
an interesting concept.
It wasn't like the greatest movie ever made, but I enjoyed it. Okay.
It was an interesting horror movie premise. No one ever
came
thought
out,
Leprechauns.
Came out in 1993. That came out in the same year as Jurassic Park. An evil, sadistic leprechaun goes on a killing rampage in search of his beloved pot of gold. I want me gold.
I want me gold.
I want me gold.
Very, very young Jennifer Aniston.
And it got better. The sequels just made it so much better.
So the sequels include Leprechaun 2.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on. I got the list here. Leprechaun Returns. That's Leprechaun Returns is the reboot from 2018. The reboot starred WWE superstar Hornswoggle.
The Leprechaun.
Then you had Leprechaun 2, Leprechaun 3. They didn't try too hard with the original ones. Leprechaun 2, Leprechaun 3, Leprechaun 4, Leprechaun in Space. Then there was Leprechaun 5, Leprechaun in the Hood. Then you had Leprechaun. In 2014, you had Leprechaun Origins.
You need a good origin tale.
You do.
And then the reboot of Leprechaun that came out in 2018. So yeah, I can see why. I can see why you thought that one got better as it aged.
It's like a fine wine.
We could go along with Chucky and Friday the 13th.
No, you do it. Every single horror franchise usually has like a really good start, and then when you get to like part 18,
Freddy versus Jason in space.
Freddy versus Jason is actually pretty good. But the one with Jason in space was Friday the 13th part 10.
Yeah,
Jason X. But no, Leprechaun. I remember watching Leprechaun though, and seeing Jennifer Aniston, and it was her very first role. And I remember saying, "Wow, she's pretty hot. I hope she ends up in something else."
Speaking of horror movies that are coming out again, they're making another Halloween movie.
I know, and I'm not sure if this is a reboot, a remake, a sequel, a prequel, or has anything to do with the originals.
Well, it does have Jamie Lee Curtis in it.
Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah.
So what? The last Terminator movie had Linda Hamilton in it. It doesn't matter. Like Halloween and Terminator have a similar run for their franchise in that their timeline is so screwed up. I don't know what movie's supposed to be where. Like Terminator, you have a really great first movie, you have a pretty good second movie, a mess of a third movie, a fourth movie starring Christian Bale that made no sense, a movie that has Emilia Clarke as a young Linda Hamilton, only to be followed up by a movie with Linda Hamilton, and a very old Terminator. Screwed up franchise. That wasn't even on the list. That should have been on the list.
Yeah.
And we got there from Leprechaun. Which brings me
to Halloween.
I'm nobody to talk because I'm going to come to the third one on the last one on my list, which is RoboCop. First RoboCop. I think
we stopped at one.
Oh yeah, first RoboCop is a classic to me because it's a Paul Verhoeven film, and I love Paul Verhoeven because he did Total Recall, RoboCop. His Starship Troopers. He's good for these like sci-fi films that have a little bit of satire in them, and kind of make fun of like the way things are in the world at that time. And then you get RoboCop 2. At least it had Peter Weller. He returned as RoboCop, but it lacked the satire of the first film because it wasn't directed by the same guy.
Right.
And then you get the third film, which was so bad that Peter Weller wouldn't even do it.
So you wouldn't buy that for $1?
No. Even a guy that wouldn't buy it for $1 didn't buy it for $1. They replaced him with some other actor. He can fly all of a sudden. They kill off his partner who survived the first two movies with him in the third film. And then they do a reboot where for some reason he still has a hand. Still has a human hand. Everything
because
else is robotic.
The humanity.
That poor guy.
That poor man. That poor man. Last on Mike's list is
the Christopher Reeve Superman.
You could probably, up until like Man of Steel, throw a bunch of other ones on there too. I think you can include the Brandon Ruth one because it was kind of like a loose sequel to the original Superman film.
Yeah. Well, the quest for peace, really.
I would say Superman 3 is where it started to go down.
Yeah, that's where. Yeah, 3 is where it started going down here. 4 put the nail in the coffin.
It's like the original Superman was a great film. It was one of the first like box office superhero blockbusters. Like did really well. Introduced you to Christopher Reeve, who he looked like Superman.
Yeah.
You look at Christopher Reeve, and I saw the comic book character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, who I think is probably still the best Lex Luthor.
Yep.
Ned Beatty playing his associate.
Otis. Otisberg.
Otis. Yeah.
Otisberg.
And Miss Tessmacher.
Miss Tessmacher.
It was just such a great movie. And then the second one, I love the second one.
The second one was great.
I think I enjoy the second one more than I do the first one. And a lot of
Were they filmed together? Am I correct in that? Were they filmed together?
I don't know. I don't know that. Did Richard?
There's a Donner director's cut, and
well, that's because Richard Donner was directing the second one, and then got fired partway through it, and they replaced him. And so he has like, if you ever see the Donner cut, it's got a few extra scenes in it. It's not too much different.
But and I may be wrong here, but I thought the first movie opened with Zod being convicted and being sent into the Phantom Zone. Then Jor-El has to go before the council and kind of plead with them to evacuate. Nobody's listening. And then that's when he sends Kal-El off. So, I mean, that's the setup, right?
Yeah.
That's
and
kind
it's
of the link in.
And, when you bring it up now, it does start with, it basically starts with a stinger for the sequel.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's kind of either they filmed it together or they just had some really long-term confidence that it was going to do well enough that they,
because you weren't getting Brando back after the first one.
No, and honestly, I like the second one the best. I think because I love
Neil.
I think Terrence Stamp as Zod is awesome. Gene Hackman's back, and he's just as great as he was in the first film. Christopher Reeve is
Yeah.
just as great as he was. I love the second one. And then you get to the third one, and Gene Hackman didn't want to return for it.
Mm-hmm.
You have Richard Pryor in there as a computer genius, which I love Richard Pryor, but he didn't sell me as a computer genius.
No.
Some weird generic villain. You have the like Bizarro World Superman character that shows up.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mess of a film. And you would think after that they probably would have stopped, but no. They decided to do a fourth one. Somehow they got Gene Hackman to come back for it. They must have backed up a Mack truck full of cash. Because he somehow, some reason, came back for it. Yeah, the Quest for Peace, which is he fights Nuclear Man.
Nuclear Man.
Which I don't think that was even that wasn't an actual.
Oh
villain.
No, that was somebody created for the film. Yeah, he was supposed to be like the antithesis to Superman.
Right, but you got an entire library of villains to work with. You know.
It just was a mess, and then that pretty much put a stopper on the Superman franchise for a while.
Yeah,
you had a bunch of like TV shows that did really well. You had Lois and Clark, Smallville, and then Brandon Ruth. The movie wasn't great. I didn't like.
I can appreciate what he tried to do,
but he was. I liked him. I thought he was. If I closed my eyes and listened to him, I thought I heard Christopher Reeve.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he looked a little bit like him, and he sounded a lot like him, and he played it like Christopher Reeve.
Yeah,
it's just he just didn't get hit with like a really great script, and it kind of killed his career, I think. And then you have the Henry Cavill Man of Steel, where Superman destroys half the world to save it.
Well, that's another director doing what that director does. Zack Snyder has to destroy everything to tell a story.
It has to be
it has to be over the top.
Everything in DC has to be gritty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because the Nolan Batman films did well by being gritty.
That's because that's what Batman's supposed to be. Gritty.
I don't watch.
Well, Nolan's films did great because there was like the element of realism, mm-hmm. right? I mean, you're taking something that's really kind of fantastic, and you're making it somewhat believable with the explanation of things. You know,
you take the Batman costume off of him, and he's a vigilante fighting the mob.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what it is. The Superman film. I don't watch Superman for grittiness.
No,
I watch Superman for hope. Like he's the beacon.
He
of
should
hope.
be the exact opposite of what Batman is.
Exactly. Yeah.
His film should be the exact opposite of Batman films.
And that's why I think that's why Batman versus Superman really didn't work.
Yeah.
Martha, why did you say that name? I still haven't watched the 4 hour Zack Snyder Justice League yet. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's better things I can do with 4 hours. Like
most definitely.
Watch paint dry.
Sleep, drive home from work, Drink beer. Last one on Kevin's list.
Last one on my list is, I'm sorry, I was looking things up on IMDb to see the lies they spout. Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi. And Sam Raimi and the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I guess. Because they both went off track. Spider-Man, the Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man was Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, and Willem Dafoe. Phenomenal.
Yes.
Great. Wonderful. Got me excited about Spider-Man again, right? I even looked past that he had the web shooters, in his skin. Mm-hmm. Didn't matter to me. It was overlooked because of how well it was done. And then Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock, and I was like, "Whoa!"
He was one of the best villains that they ever put.
I
thought.
Yeah,
he was really good. Alfred Molina, he made him like human, and even though he's this fantastical character,
mm-hmm.
he made him you kind of felt bad for him at the end because he was like, I'm not going to die the villain.
Right, and the whole side story with Peter not, wanting to be. Didn't want to be Spider-Man anymore, and
losing his confidence
and everything. And then there was the third.
Which they did what they always do. They put 40 million villains in the film.
Yeah.
They put a lot of villains in it. They made Spider-Man emo with a emo, not emo.
Because they
It
made him emu. He was like, huh?
They made him emo and gave him like it's just so stupid. So then they scratch that. They're like, oh, our bad. We'll fix it. Here's the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. It's like, oh, okay, this could work. And Gwen Stacy. Wow. Okay, let's stray away from Mary Jane, go back to the original love, right? And it was decent. Dennis Leary as was he Commissioner Stacy?
I know he was Gwen Stacy's father, right?
Right. He was the cop, right? So that whole thing, interesting, right? And then they did the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it just sucked. It sucks so hard.
So it was like, so the Sam Raimi third one, like Mike said, it was the studio stepping in and saying, well, you can't just have Green Goblin. You can't just have, that you have to have some more. So we have to have Sandman and we have to have Venom. We definitely got to shoehorn Venom in there. And we got the best actor to play Venom, Topher Grace. And
the kicker was that Sam Raimi was so trying to make Vulture the villain, because not the Vulture, sorry, the Lizard, the villain, because he had already introduced Kurt Connors 2 movies ago, so he had the parts lining up. So if they would have stuck with the Lizard as the villain, or even kind of the Lizard and the Vulture, I know we don't want overkill with the villains, but I would have been okay with that. And they went in a direction the worst direction.
But now we have the Tom Holland Spider-Mans,
which have all been pretty good so far.
And if everybody knock on wood.
And if they do what it looks like they're doing, introducing 1 or 2 villains at a time, they could do a whole Spider-Man and Sinister Six coming up.
Yeah. And
those are the villains they've been kind of like.
And since they're like teasing this multiverse thing, your Sinister Six could be a mix of the multiverse characters.
Right.
Yeah.
So we definitely know that Alfred Molina's coming back as Doc Ock because he was in the commercial. But you saw the bomb that makes you think that the Green Goblin's coming back, so it might be Willem Dafoe.
We've already had Mysterio.
Yeah, Mysterio. You always have to talk about Garfield and what's his face coming back. Tobey Maguire.
It was they were going to have Jamie Foxx, but his Electro would look different.
Okay.
So.
And I heard something too. I don't know if it's just like one of those internet things or if it actually has any substantial evidence, but that the new Venom film, Let There Be Carnage, is going to tie itself into the Spider-Man film as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they are both kind of owned by Sony and Disney combined. So.
Yeah, because Sony still owns the rights to the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man and all his, which is all.
I would really, really hope to see Miles Morales in this new Spider-Man film.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see him introduce Miles Morales because I'm not sure if Tom Holland's going to continue to do Spider-Man after this. So,
let's move on to Spider-Man.
So I was thinking, like with that Spider-Man thing we said, like too many villains. It tied into one of the films we were talking about earlier. I think it was the Batman films where they tie in just too many villains, just keep cramming villains in. So I have 3 movies on my list here. These are franchises that, at least in my opinion, I think endure despite shitty sequels that could have destroyed the films. So one of them, the main one, I think, is The Godfather. Godfather Part 1 and Part 2 are, arguably just as great as the other one.
Mafia movie Bibles.
Yeah, and some people
Old Testament and New Testament.
Exactly, and some people consider the second one better than the first. I prefer the first one myself. And then you have the third film, which is not great. It's not bad. but it's not worthy of the first two films.
Not close.
And I don't think it's bad enough to destroy the franchise, because most people who are fans of The Godfather will watch the first two films and kind of ignore the third one.
Right.
Or
you'll watch it. You'll watch it at least once.
Yeah, to complete the circle, and then that's it.
Then when you go back, you just watch the first two. Yeah.
Cleanse the palate with the first two again.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have Indiana Jones, which the first three films,
well, yeah.
I mean, the original trilogy is a great trilogy. It's one of the best trilogies. And then you had that fourth film, The Crystal Skull. I think could have destroyed it.
Yeah.
But the first three films are so beloved and adored for so long that I don't think it really was going to destroy it completely.
And although there was quite a lot of ammo to destroy it.
Yeah.
And I was honestly kind of excited when they said it's going to center around the Crystal Skull. You know, the Higgins. I can't think of, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, okay, this is an actual artifact that's studied and stuff.
It's a real
and I'm
thing.
like, this could be really interesting, and that just derailed completely.
Well, when they introduced the aliens, it kind of killed it for me. You know, actually, I had a hard time watching it after the lead line fridge nuclear bombs I mentioned before.
Yeah, you can't get off that wagon.
Shia LaBeouf swinging with the monkey.
Oh, that.
I need to look like Marlon Brando. No, you don't.
But I'm saying, like, it's endured despite that. But now that they're in post production on the fifth film, it feels like it's either going to do well or they're really trying their best to destroy the franchise.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the last one I have on my list, Star Wars, which some people would probably say has already been destroyed either by the prequels or the new sequel films. I think those people are defeatists.
I think so too.
If you really truly love Star Wars, you'll love Star Wars regardless. I actually love Star Wars so much that I'm wearing my Hutfather t-shirt, which is a mashup of Star Wars and The Godfather. So yeah, but I mean, it is getting it does have the potential to be oversaturated though with all the stuff that they're releasing on Disney Plus.
Well, they don't have to do a new movie anytime soon, though.
No.
Although there was talk of Taika Waititi doing a new trilogy.
There's so much material to work with.
There is.
That can stay this, keep itself away from the Skywalker saga. They can really do something unique, keeping it within the universe, but staying away from that particular thing, because so many people hold that as like, God,
They have a series on Disney Plus that just premiered recently. I only watched the first episode so far, but it's pretty good. It's Star Wars Visions, and they're all original stories that are really short. They're like 12 to 14 minutes each.
They're animated by different people, right?
They're animated by different people, but they're all done in an anime style.
Right.
And I watched the first one, and the first one was really. The animation in the first one was spectacular. It was really, really cool to watch. And it was like a Japanese samurai story, but the samurai were the Jedi.
Right.
So it's kind of like it was a cool episode. So I'm looking forward to watching some of the rest of them and see how it goes with that. So yeah, hopefully Star Wars finds a way to keep relevant and not destroy itself. Consume itself. I'd love to see them do a series with the books that they call them the Legend, series now. Which
Legacy books.
Yeah, the books that I read before when they were still canon.
Yeah, the Thrawn series.
The Thrawn series, the Yuuzhan Vong War, all that stuff. I would love to see like a series that they could call it the Star Wars.
Empire.
Yeah, they could still Heir to the Empire. They could call it this Star Wars Legacy series. That'd be cool. Even if they did it as like an animated series, like that'd be pretty cool. I think. Yeah. So I'm gonna pause the recording for a second here. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us for this. This is our season 2 premiere, sequels that ruined their franchises. We hope you enjoyed this. Please join us for our second episode of season 2, episode 35, where we will be talking about books that have been turned into movies. We'll be talking about some of the best adaptations as well as some of the worst adaptations of books to film. Please visit us at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com. Drop us a line. Give us some recommendations. Give us some drinks we should try out, some beers, some liquors, whatever it might be. Visit us at Instagram at Films and Fermentation, Facebook.com/Films and Fermentation. Check out our show notes for this episode so you can see the link for our new YouTube channel where you can watch us record the episode as well as listen to the episode on your usual podcast platforms. So join us next week for episode 35, Book to Film. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
You've been listening to Films and Fermentation. We hope you enjoyed listening to the episode as much as we enjoyed recording it for you.
And watching us.
Yay! Hi, guys.
Please vote on our website on who you think is the best looking. I mean, from what I'm looking at here, I'm pretty sure it's me. But
yeah, it's you. We don't have the debonair suave of hair going.
You don't have that little calic going in the front.
Calic, your little Superman curl going on.
You're not recording from the set of heaven.
I'm just ahead right now.
Max Headroom over there.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
See you all later.